It's time for the Curator's Corner. We're here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, at the Wanenmacher's Tulsa Arms Show, the world's largest gun show, joined by Jim Supica, the director of the NRA's National Firearms Museum. Jim, so cool to be here.
Isn't this great?
You love this. I love being here. You've been here a lot more than I have. Show us some of the treasures you have that you brought from the museum.
Well, we brought these. We always try and bring an exhibit from the museum to this show. And we brought some very historic six guns. And these are two, both of these designs have their origin in the Civil War. They're both beautiful examples of the particular gun. They've both got something special going for them too.
Okay.
I'm going to start with this very classic Colt 1851 Navy. One of the most popular guns of its era, certainly a predominant sidearm of the Civil War, introduced in 1851. 6-shot percussion revolver. If you look at this one closely, you can see beautiful factory engraving on it, the very typical scroll work that you see on these early engraved Colts.
So at the top of it, it says, Address Colonel Colt, London. Explain that.
The London is interesting because Colt, of course, manufactured in Hartford, Connecticut, but the overseas market was strong for his revolvers, so he set up a manufacturing facility in London, and this would be called a London Colt.
But isn't there a New London, Connecticut too?
Well, I don't know if there is,
there is.
but he did not have his manufacturers there, but maybe we could talk him to move there, I don't know. Check out the underside here, and what do you see there?
I see the number 1.
Serial number 1. First Colt London Navy made. So very historic gun, beautifully engraved as you'd expect for a milestone of that type. You got one problem here. It looks like somebody's taken a 10-penny nail and punched their name on it right across the engraving.
Now what does that say to you?
What do you see?
I see Woody.
W. Cody. It's William F. Cody. This was Buffalo Bill's 51 Colt Navy. So a very historic gun. Of course, Buffalo Bill Cody, the Buffalo Hunter, the Scout, and then most famous as a showman with Buffalo Bill's Wild West. At one time, he was the most famous celebrity in the world, the best known American in the world, more so than Abraham Lincoln or George Washington. Buffalo Bill Cody.
That says a lot.
Yeah, and this, the gun was owned by Cody, and then it was passed to Jack Crawford, the poet scout. And this gun is very well documented, the specific collections. It's been handed down from one to another, and we're very, very proud to have it on
How did you get it?
It's on loan to us. Both of these two guns are on loan to us. The vast majority of the guns in the museum have been donated. We've got 6,000 guns, and I think we've bought a total of 3 of them. Now, we do have some exceptional guns that are on loan, and these are 2 of them, and we're very, very glad to have a historic piece like this.
Okay, what's next?
This other one is another gun from the Civil War period. Of course, the dominant type of gun was the cap and ball percussion revolver. You load the powder in each chamber, you press home a lead ball, you put a percussion cap on the nipple, and then you're ready to fire. The big advance for Colt was you had 6 shots instead of 1. That was a huge advance. But a couple of other guys came with a further advance, and that was instead of having to go through all that rigmarole with the loose powder and the lead ball and the percussion cap, they made a revolver that would fire a self-contained metallic cartridge. That was, of course, Horace Smith and Daniel Wesson. And this is their Model 2 Old Army, introduced about the beginning of the Civil War, never issued by the military, but it was a very popular private purchase sidearm among Civil War officers. The system is unusual to us. It looks odd. It's a spur trigger revolver. When you cock the hammer, a trigger pops forward out of that protective sheath on the frame, and you fire like that. To load and unload, you open the latch on the bottom of the frame, tips like that, barrel pops out, and that's your ejector there. You use that rod to punch out the individual empty rounds. They thought of everything. They did, they did. And it looks cumbersome to us, but this was a tremendous advance over the percussion revolver. The cartridges were weatherproof. They were much more fumble-free when you're trying to load, and actually, even with punching out these empties, much faster to load and unload than a percussion revolver. So it was a tremendous advance.
Back at that time, would they have, like, I guess what we would call speed loads today? Would they have these already to go? They have extra ones?
You know, some of the guns they would do that with, and actually some of the, particularly the Remington percussion revolvers, you could do that with a spare loaded cylinder. You could pop out the empty cylinder and put in the loaded cylinder. This one we have an inscription on the back strap, and it is presented to General W.T. Sherman by officers of his personal staff, 1869.
I mean, some of the biggest names in history
Exactly.
on this table.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. So, of course, William Tecumseh Sherman,
Right.
Union General, one of the most famous, depending on which side you are, famous or infamous
Absolutely.
officers of the Civil War.
Now, back
But,
then, Jim, what would these have cost?
I don't know.
Okay. I wonder if how many days' salary would you need to buy one of these back then?
Yeah. You know, the old saying is a little different era than this, but when the Colt Single Action Army first came out, you could buy one for a $20 gold piece,
Right.
and you could still buy one today for a $20 gold piece. The revolver and gold have stayed about the same. Everything else has shifted a little bit.
That's amazing. So
But,
you have this, you have tons of treasures there at the National Firearms Museum.
We do.
How can people find out more?
We want them to come visit us if they possibly can. We're open every day except Christmas, 9:30 to 5. Admission is always free. We've got 3,000 great guns on display. March of 2013, we'll have a new location in Springfield, Missouri at the Bass Pro shop there, opening up an entirely new museum. Or they can see all the guns that are on display in our Fairfax Museum at our website, nramuseum.com.
Jim Supica, National Firearms Museum. Awesome stuff here. Thanks for your time here on the Curator's Corner.
I always enjoy doing it, Cameron.